Hello class 9, I hope all of you are doing well. So in this video we are going to learn plasma membrane, what is its role, and we will also learn what is diffusion, what is osmosis, and how a cell behaves in presence of different types of solutions, right? So let's get started. Now first let me tell you what is plasma membrane. And this topic is from the lesson The Cell Fundamental Unit of Life. So by now you already know why cell is considered to be the basic and the functional unit of life. So here we will understand what is plasma membrane. And this plasma membrane is one of the component structure of a cell, or this is one of the component by which the cell is made up of, right? So every cell has got a plasma membrane. So let us draw what is plasma membrane. So let us suppose this is a cell. So with this structure you can easily say what I am drawing is a kind of rectangular shape and it has got a boundary. In maths you may call it as the perimeter, right? So that is the outermost boundary of a cell or any area, but here we are not considering any area or a shape, but we are considering a cell. So here the perimeter you can say, or the outermost boundary, is the cell membrane or the plasma membrane. So what is its function in a cell then? Of course this plasma membrane helps in separating one cell from the other, the first rule. Secondly, the plasma membrane also help in keeping the inner content of the cell intact, that is all the cellular structure including the nucleus, the cell cytoplasm, the other structures like the Golgi bodies or the mitochondria, etc. will remain intact within a cell because the plasma membrane will enclose them. It will provide them as a cover, right? And it will prevent from spilling or prevent from the inner content of the cell to come out, right? So that is its second role or the function. Now the third role, that is this plasma membrane also act as a semi-permeable membrane. Okay, so this can be one question also. In fact, this question comes, why plasma membrane is known as the semi-permeable membrane. So semi-permeable membrane. So semi-permeability means it allows the entry and exit of the molecule selectively, right? For example, there are molecules outside the cell. Any molecules, it can be a gaseous molecule or it can be the molecule of water. So these molecules will enter inside the cell, or some molecules may also come out of the cell. Suppose there are molecules being synthesized or being produced in the cell, so they will come out of the cell. But this coming in and entering in or coming out of the molecules in and out of the cell is not that easy because of the plasma membrane. Plasma membrane does not simply allow any molecules to enter or any molecules to exit the cell, right? That is why it is known as semi-permeable membrane. That is, it allows selectively the molecule to enter and to exit the cell. That is why it is known as selectively permeable membrane. Now let us understand how this plasma membrane help in entering or help in exiting the cell, right? So that is by the process called diffusion. So here we will understand what is diffusion, right? So diffusion is a process by which the molecules enter or exit the cell across a concentration gradient, right? So there should be a concentration gradient in between of the cell and the outside environment, right? For example, consider this diagram. Suppose the molecule, let us consider this is the carbon dioxide molecule, right? So the carbon dioxide molecule outside the cell is high compared to inside. So this red circle or red dots, let us suppose it is the carbon dioxide molecule inside the cell. Now we can see here the concentration of carbon dioxide molecule is high outside the cell. so it will start to move inside, right? But until when? Until equilibrium is reached. Until equilibrium, right? So until it reaches equilibrium, the molecule will continue to move. When the molecules become same inside and outside the cell, then there will be no movement, right? For example, if the number of molecules outside the cell is 10 and inside the cell is 10, then the movement will be stopped. So this is how the diffusion occurs in a cell, or this is how the plasma membrane allows the entry and exit of the molecule. Same in case of oxygen also. If oxygen molecule is more inside or more outside than inside, then it will enter, right? Say take the example of respiration. For respiration, oxygen molecule is taken in. Suppose this red substance is the oxygen molecule. Let us consider oxygen molecule. So oxygen molecule enters inside the cell. Then after respiration, carbon dioxide is produced, right? After respiration, suppose this blue circle are suppose the carbon dioxide molecule. Now the carbon dioxide molecule inside will be higher because oxygen will be consumed for respiration and carbon dioxide will be produced. Now this carbon dioxide from its higher concentration, it will move outside the cell. It will go out of the cell towards its lower concentration gradient or towards the outer environment of the cell, right? So in this way, diffusion helps in the movement of molecules in and out of the cell across a concentration gradient until it reaches equilibrium, right? So similarly, not only the gaseous molecule but water molecule also follows the same process of diffusion, which we call osmosis. So osmosis is a process of diffusion where the water molecule moves in and out of the cell across a concentration gradient, right? So now we will see the different types of solution or the behavior of a cell in different environment. Environment here, I mean the solution. So what happens to a cell when it is around different types of solution, right? So let us see what are the different types of solution. Let us understand osmosis in more detail. We will see what happens to the cell when it is kept in different types of solution. So solution is a mixture of a solvent and a solute. So let us consider the solvent as the water here, the solvent as the water, and the solute as the salt. So the solution will be a salt solution, means the mixture of water and a salt. So here, according to the proportion of the water and the salt, or the solvent and the solute, there can be three types of solution. Okay, so they can be number one as hypertonic solution. Secondly, they can be hypotonic solution, and third, they can be isotonic solution. So based on the amount of the solvent, either it can be hypertonic, hypotonic, or isotonic solution, right? So based on the amount of the solvent, it can be either hypertonic, hypotonic, or the isotonic solution. So hypertonic solution here, in this case, the hypertonic solution, let me make it like this. Suppose this is a beaker containing a hypertonic solution which has more of the solute, right? More of the solute. So solute concentration is high, right? Solute concentration. Let us consider the red color as the solute and the blue color as the solvent. So here more of the solute and less of the solvent. So such type of solution is a concentrated solution. It is a concentrated solution, right? That is hypertonic solution. And in the second case, in case of a hypotonic solution, here the amount of solute is less as compared to the amount of the solvent. So solvent is more here, right? More of the solvent, but solute is less. So in this case, it is a dilute solution, right? So hypertonic, it is a dilute solution and it is a concentrated solution. Whereas in case of an isotonic solution, here the amount of solute and the amount of solvent are equal, right? Amount of solute and solvent are equal, right? So in this way, we can see three different types of solution: hypertonic, and isotonic, based on the concentration or based on the amount of solvent present in them. So in hypertonic solution, the solvent will be less and solute will be high. Definitely it will be very concentrated as the solute is more. Then hypertonic solution where the water molecule or the solvent is higher compared to the solute. So it will be a dilute solution because more of the water. But in isotonic solution, both the solvent and the solute are of equal proportion. So it will be isotonic solution. Now let us see what happens to the cell when they are present in these three different conditions, right? So now let us see here. Let us see what will happen to the cell in three different solutions. Suppose if we put a cell here, suppose this is the cell and here also this is the cell, right? And here also we have put a cell inside, right? So in three different solutions a cell is put inside. Now here, as it is a hypertonic solution and it is a concentrated solution, the amount of water is more, right? The amount of water is more as compared to the amount of water present in the solution. Since it is a concentrated solution where the water molecule is less and the solute is more, now what is the condition for diffusion to happen? That is from movement of molecule from higher to lower concentration. So here the water molecule will start to come out. The water molecule will start to move out of the cell by the process of osmosis. As a result, what will happen to the cell? If the water loses, if the cell loses water, what will happen to it? Definitely it will shrink or it will reduce its size, right? So in such solution, the cell is likely to shrink. The cell is likely to shrink and it will reduce its size and it will shrink like this. It will shrink and it will reduce its size, right? Now let us go to the next condition. The next condition is hypotonic. Hypotonic means the amount of amount of water in the solution is high as compared to inside the cell. Inside the cell is less, but outside the cell is more. The water concentration outside the cell is more. So in this condition, what happens? How osmosis occurs? The movement of water molecule is from the solution to the cell, right? The water molecule will start move inside the cell, right? So in this way, the water molecule will start to move inside the cell. And in such condition, what will happen to the cell? If the cell will gain water, what will happen to the cell? It will enlarge, right? It will gain water and it will increase its size from here to this much size it will become. It will enlarge or it will swell, right? It will enlarge and it will swell up because it will gain water by the process of osmosis as the solution is dilute, as the solution is a hypotonic solution. So here the cell is likely to increase its size and it will swell up, right? So that is our second condition, right? Now let us see in the third case, in presence of an isotonic solution. Since here the amount of solute and the solvent is equal, it means there will be no net movement and the cell will remain as it is. Here there will be no change, right? Because we know what does diffusion process tells us about. it says that movement continues only until it reaches equilibrium, right? When there is an equilibrium, there is no net movement, right? Since the solute and the solvent proportion is equal, so there will be no movement, and so there will be no change in the size of the cell. So in this way, we can understand osmosis by considering three different solutions. So solution here are hypertonic, hypotonic and isotonic solution. So here in the first case, the cell will shrink in presence of a hypertonic solution as it is more concentrated and less water in the solution. So water present inside the cell will come out, right? As the cell will lose water, so it will reduce its size. Secondly, the hypotonic solution, where it is a dilute solution and more of the water in it, so it will gain water. The cell will gain water by osmosis and it will increase its size and it will swell up. And in the third condition, as it is as the solute and the solvent are of equal proportion, so there will be no net movement and there will be no change in the size of the cell, right? So this is about the different types of solution and how the cell behaves in presence of these different types of solutions. So this can be questions for your exam also. Questions are asked like what happens to the cell when it is present in a hypertonic solution, hypotonic or isotonic. So any condition can be given to you and you will be asked about the condition of the cell, right? So this is about osmosis and plasma membrane. So I hope you have learned it. So after the end of the lesson, here is my question. Question number 1. What is plasma membrane? What is its role? And why it is considered as the selectively permeable membrane, right? And question number 2. What happens to the cell when it is kept in a hypertonic solution? Give your answer with an example. So that's it for today. I hope you learn it, and I also hope that you will write down the answer and you will show it to me. So thank you so much for today. Hope to see you in my next video lesson. Thank you.